as well as inroads that are being made in alternative medicine, natural healing, and biological dentistry. Welcome to Functional Medicine with Dr. Robbins. We'll sort everything out and bring it to you in easy-to-understand terms. Now, here is Dr. Robbins.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Functional Medicine with me, Dr. Howard Robbins. As you can hear, I have a little bit of a cough, and that's what led to me doing this particular show. Past weekend on Sunday, I suddenly didn't feel right, a little dizzy, just working in the garden, nothing that should have caused me to feel off. And by the evening, I started to develop what you call upper respiratory tract infection symptoms, like a common cold. Well, it's very unusual. And one of my concerns was, why would I get one? I've not been under any unusual stress or anything else. So I did what I knew I had to do. I started shooting up with intravenous ozone therapy, and you're going to learn about that more today. And was able to, I had to do it each night, had Herxheimer reactions. I'll mention those in a little bit. Each night, knowing that I was killing off junk. And what I was basically left with was a little congestion and whatnot that I treat in various ways I'm going to mention later as well. But the purpose of the show is because I got fatigued. And it's very unusual for me to have this level of fatigue ever, even at my age. So it led me into I decided a show we haven't done in a very long time, an update on chronic fatigue syndrome, CFers, myalgic encephalomyelitis. So we're going to talk about that. That's what this show is dedicated to. And as you know, all our shows are dedicated to generally one disease or condition. I'm not a news show. I don't just bring you the latest news in many different areas of natural health. Plenty of people do that. I'm here to really give you how to get rid of, in a safe and effective way, if possible, or certainly improve serious medical problems. And I have to thank, and you may want to write down some of this information, so getting a pen and paper at the beginning of the show is always a wise move. So first, I thank my sponsor, PromoLife, PROMOLIFE.com. At PromoLife, they make home care and medical grade ozone generators. And ozone therapy can be done at home to treat many things, including chronic fatigue syndrome. All right, we'll be talking about that in a little bit when we get to how to treat it. If you mention that you heard about them here on the show, and I always tell people you can look them up online at promolife.com, but call them at 888-742-3404. 888-742-3404. Mention that you heard about them here on the show, and they'll give you something special, a percentage off or a free gift, something just for having listened to the show. And you're going to learn about how home care ozone therapy can be beneficial for this serious medical problem. Next, I have to thank, and very important to all these issues, Doctors Biome. Doctors Biome, DoctorsBiome.com. Doctors Biome is a very special probiotic beverage. It has 15 patented strains of bacteria created because they're next generation bacteria to survive the stomach over 90%. And what you don't know is that capsule, powder, and tablet probiotics are destroyed over 90% in the stomach. And if that weren't enough, they're also created. They're called smart probiotics because they're actually changed They reach the wall of your colon and they stick to it. They actually change their genetic expression when they reach your colon wall cells. So this is beyond an important product. 90% of your immune system is in your gut. If you don't have a healthy gut, you cannot have a healthy immune system. Many of the people who've had chronic fatigue syndrome have taken antibiotics and have been treated with all sorts of things that have wrecked their gut. We have to replenish the good boys. And virtually there's nothing else like this on the market. It's a one-of-a-kind product right now. And I'm thankful they're my sponsor. Go to doctorsbiome.com and put the code radio20 in, and you'll get 20% off your first order. Put the code radio20 in and get 20% off your first order. After that, if you go on auto ship, you'll get an additional 10%. Well, you'll get 10% off every future order as well. Okay? So doctorsbiome.com, you're going to hear more about it later in the show as well. So I do want to say, please tell your friends that I'm also now heard and seen on YouTube. And the name of the show is the same as this, Functional Medicine with Dr. Robbins. So you can listen here, and I'm heard, oh Jesus, in almost 70 countries around the world here on Voice America. And we have the show archived in episode directory within 24 hours. So you always will be able to listen to it here. YouTube is another story. Who knows if they'll take my channel down because they don't like the fact that I use the word cure in getting rid of medical problems. They're very, very annoyed with that word, apparently. And yet, if you can, why shouldn't you be able to say it? Well, here we can, and there you can't. But go to YouTube, here on Voice America, episode directory, YouTube, Functional Medicine with Dr. Robbins, and you'll get to see as well as hear me. Having said that, let's get into our show. Okay, so first of all, chronic fatigue syndrome is a term that's been around for a very long time, chronically, okay? And they've recently, I shouldn't say that recently, but quite a while, not for that long, named it myalgic encephalomyelitis. Myalgic encephalomyelitis. And a.k.a. CFers. It's also known as CFers. Now, what basically it is a major decline in your ability to continue with your life activities, business or other, which were well tolerated before you became ill with this. The fatigue, that feeling of tiredness is so severe, so profound. It doesn't matter whether you've rested, you've slept or not. It can come on very slowly, or it can hit you suddenly, and it can last for years or even the rest of your life. It falls into the category of diseases and conditions that may not kill you, but will make you wish you were dead. There's a lot of information on the internet about it. After reviewing a lot of this information, it's my opinion that they don't really have a clue as to what's going on. And I'm talking about big name places. They act like they have no idea what can cause it, when there's very, very clear ideas in terms of what medical infections predominantly can cause it. They're wasting time in studying and trying to figure things out that they already should know. And that's why people are listening to this show. Because if you'd been helped with it, you wouldn't be listening to this show right now. Let's be clear about that. So we're talking about people who have just got it, want a safe and simple answer, and unfortunately don't really understand why they have it, and their doctors haven't been able to help them yet. Um, Mistakenly, for example, they believe there's a genetic link to this. Why? Because studies have shown that it is fairly common among more than one family member. Um, well, that's because more than one family member has been infected with this problem, with the causes, one of the causes of this condition. And basically, I look on chronic fatigue syndrome not as a separate thing all unto itself, but as just the symptoms of certain serious infections that the body can have. Now, you can have chronic fatigue if you have a hypothyroid. That's true. But that's different. It doesn't come with a whole list of symptoms that people can get. And this fatigue is really, truly disabling. Um, I'll give you an example. I had a young woman, 35 years old. All she wanted to do is, she was married. She's been sick, 3 or 4 years, totally out of commission. She just wanted to have a baby and as well as get back to work. And basically, she thought her life was over. She came in, we started treating her, and she cried every single day. She came in for an entire month. And then things started to turn around and she started to get energy again. Now, if you asked her, I'll give you a situation that occurred, just so you have an idea. If it was not unique to her, I've heard almost the exact same story a number of times over all these years that I'm doing this kind of medicine. And it goes like, she started with, Dr. Robbins, I went to sleep at 9:30 last night and I woke up at 9:30 in the morning. That's, if you do the math, 12 hours of sleep. I was so exhausted, it took me an hour to get out of bed. When I was finally able to get out of bed, it took me an hour and a half to wash and get dressed to get ready to come in for my treatment. I was so exhausted after getting ready, I had to go back to bed again, and I was in bed the rest of the day. Today, I felt a little better, so I was able to come in. That's not unique. And I've heard this more, like I say, more than once. So she cried every single day for a month until suddenly her energy started to come back. 10 months later, she called me up to say, I just got a job. I'm going back to work. I feel wonderful. Thank you for giving me my life back again. So keep in mind what I said 10 months later. What we're going to be treating is not a 50-yard dash. It's a marathon. And you have to be a patient in spite of how sick you've been for how long. Okay. Now, there's many different symptoms that come with it. And there's different things that they think might bring it on. People who have chronic fatigue syndrome um, often suffer from allergies. They have reactions to food and medications. Um, they may get, skin reactions like hives. Um, there's a number of symptoms that you have to have, okay, according to the experts, to be called chronic fatigue syndrome. So the first is you have to have, in their opinion, not in mine, a loss of physical and social function for a minimum of 6 months. Why 6 months? Who arbitrarily decided this? If it's been affecting your life for 1 or 2 months, don't you think it's enough? Okay. That's not normal. You have to have sleep disturbances, impaired concentration, muscle pain, and tender lymph nodes, um, headaches, multi-joint pain. If you do exercise, post-exertional exacerbation of fatigue, sore throat. You have to have at least 4 of these symptoms along with the fatigue for them to say, okay, you've got chronic fatigue syndrome. God bless, you don't have to have all of them. You just happen to have, all you need is a couple along with the fatigue, as far as I'm concerned. There's frequent sore throats associated with this. You can have digestive problems. Most often they do, serious digestive problems, very much like irritable bowel or leaky gut. You can have constipation and diarrhea, bloating. You get chills and night sweats frequently. I already mentioned the allergies to foods and stuff. You can have light sensitivity and noise sensitivity. You don't have to have muscle pain. You can have muscle weakness as well. Shortness of breath, irregular heartbeats. Okay. All these are just some of the different symptoms. Heat intolerance. Don't want to leave some of this out. Fainting. All these, along with the swollen lymph nodes and stuff like that, are all very, very common symptoms of this serious problem. When we come back, I don't know if should I just mention a couple of things more? Stay with us. We're going to talk about things you can do to prevent, things you can do to treat it. But most importantly, we're going to talk about how to get rid of this problem once and for all, permanently and completely. Unfortunately, it happens because it goes undiagnosed. That's the real issue. When I say undiagnosed, the causes of it. Now, the causes of it are to me, are so obvious. It's hard for me to understand why they don't know. There's one bacterial cause that I'm absolutely certain of, and that's Lyme disease. It comes with all those symptoms and more, and we'll talk about that some more. The viruses, biggie, the Epstein-Barr virus, the cytomegalovirus, the herpes 6 virus, the COVID virus, the SARS-CoV, and then yeast, candidiasis. We just did a whole show on candidiasis. All are causes of chronic fatigue syndrome. Let's go to our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to start to get into all of this and what you can do about it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, everybody. So we talked about, let's go over some of the common symptoms with this that I think is important. First of all, many organizations have decided that you have to have certain problems with this to be called it. Who cares? If you have severe fatigue, you've got a problem no matter what the cause is. Okay? But the cause is important to know based on what the treatment might be for many people. Brain problems like brain fog or cloudiness, focusing issues, following conversations, paying attention, remembering or finding the right words, that's cognitive issues, are very, very common with this problem, along with all the other symptoms that we've mentioned. Everybody with this has a sleeping issue. You may have depression or anxiety related to it. I mean, if you look up symptoms of some of these causes that I gave you before we went on the break, Lyme disease, the Epstein-Barr virus, the cytomegalovirus, EBV, CMV, herpes 6, SARS-CoV, COVID-19, candidiasis. All these come with almost the exact same symptoms. Some have a few more, some have a few less. Lyme seems to have everything. And it's all transmitted through Lyme through a bite uh, from a a tick, the deer tick. But you can get, and this is where genetics has been mistakenly, in my opinion, coming in. You can get it gestationally. And that's why some people see it happen. Yeah, so the child doesn't have it right away. They have to wait until they grow old, a little bit older. They get under enough stress and their immune system weakens, and then the infection can take over. Not to say babies can't get it, it's just that it's not heard of. It's usually seen in young children into their teens. And we're not talking about something that just affects Americans. I mean, worldwide, it's estimated that some 30 million people suffer from this problem. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, okay, that are suffering from this. Um, Here in the USA, several million alone suffer from these problems. And it's understandable if you think about what these causes are. And just about everybody, if you listen to the show we did a week ago on candidiasis, virtually everybody has candidiasis. So we already have a weakened T cell system. Okay. So if your T cell system that fights the viruses weakens because it's chronically fighting yeast. And why is it chronically fighting yeast? Because you've had antibiotics at least once in your lifetime. You eat red meat or chicken that isn't organic or farm raised fish. I don't care if you burn the meat, you're going to get uncooked out doses of antibiotics. And with that, you weaken your immune system and allow yeast to overgrow because antibiotics will kill all the good boys in your gut virtually instantly. Okay? So yeast has nothing to keep it in check and it overgrows. And that weakens the T cell system, which now has to fight the yeast infection all on its own without any other help. And thus you're more susceptible to the viruses, which you might have fought off if you were exposed to it otherwise. Um, so as these infections flare up, that's when symptoms flare up. And if your body just stays weak all the time, then you're going to have these symptoms all the time. Now, based on the time, let's get into certain things. First of all, there are foods that what you want to do overall, okay, is boost your immune system to fight this infection. Now, you can boost your immune system in a number of ways. All right, so these are things people can do worldwide. You want to eat organic fruit, especially berries, because they're so loaded with phytonutrients and antioxidants. Berries are like the number one fruit for this kind of a problem. They're low in sugar. That's another thing. You want to avoid sugar as much as you can. Leafy green vegetables, orange colored, that means, zucchinis, things like that. All those things, Swiss chard, rainbow chard, all those kind of vegetables are very, very important for this kind of thing. Dried beans and legumes, everything organic, of course, dried beans or legumes. Make sure if you're going to eat whole grains or cracked grains, that they're all organic. Limit, though you shouldn't avoid fish or seafood completely, but limit it. Stay away from meat. Meat is very hard to digest, and any foods that are hard to digest are going to bring more blood into your gut, taking longer to digest it, and thus away from your brain and the rest of your body for energy. Um, Fermented foods like kefir and yogurt, if you can eat them, sauerkraut, are also beneficial because they aid in digestion. Um, you want healthy fats like organic extra virgin olive oil, um, avocados, nuts and seeds that are organic. Dark chocolate only in moderation. There's a lot of information coming out about how dark chocolate may be contaminated with toxic metals like lead. So we're being a little cautious in recommending dark chocolate now, but at small amounts probably might be safe. Just don't binge. Um, there are foods that you absolutely should avoid. Caffeine. Now, one of the problems with people with fatigue is they're going to do a lot of caffeine because it boosts you up. You feel that energy surge. Unfortunately, on the other side of the caffeine comes energy surge, comes the crash. And now your nervous system is knocked down. Then it boosts up again, then it gets knocked down again, and eventually it can crash completely. So avoiding caffeinated beverages completely is smart. Okay. Um, and that includes teas, but other than herbal teas. Um, and I'm not including yerba mate because yerba mate has more caffeine in it than any other uh, tea or coffee could possibly hold. To me, it's almost like drinking, cocaine. It's that powerful in terms of the amount of caffeine in it. Alcohol, another down to your nervous system, should be eliminated completely. Um, Oils that are saturated fats like margarine and omega-3, omega-6 fats, stay away from those. Fast and fried foods, they're fried in all sorts of horrible oils and loaded with toxins. Stay away, keep all your foods fresh and natural, raw foods probably being the best. Frozen and packaged meals, packaged snacks, anything sweetened with sugar or any of and I say stay away from all the sugars like, oh, uh, maple syrup and agave, just as a few date sugar. There's so many different sugars you can use now. Um, any refined flours, stay away from those. If you have to sweeten with something, use stevia. Um, I spoke about the alcohol sugar that I prefer, which is xylitol. Or now, if you can get it without the erythritol, monk fruit. You can sweeten with monk fruit, also very healthy. Okay, so you want to stay away from those kind of foods. It's very important. So now let's talk about ozone therapy. So what I have been doing for the last 33 and a half years as the date of this show, a little over that, and over 304, 414,000 intravenous ozone therapies in virtually all its forms. Um, Intravenous ozone therapy will destroy every virus, fungus, yeast, mold, bacteria, parasite, toxin, and harmful free radical. It's that simple. So it doesn't matter which virus you have. Now, it does matter which method of ozone you get. And doctors today who do ozone therapy, I get patients calling me up. Oh, I've done ozone therapy before. That's like saying I'm bad with analogies. My wife tells me that anyway. That's like saying I took an antibiotic, Well, as most people know, there are many different types of antibiotics, and some of them are good for certain infections, and others are good for other infections. There is no one antibiotic that's good for all infections, okay? Actually, except ozone. Okay, in terms of pharmaceuticals, that is. So, saying that you did ozone therapy, you could have done it in one of the 7 different ways that intravenous ozone therapy can be done. And while it has benefited you to some degree, it won't get rid of your problem if it's not in the right method. And an example would be the viruses. The viruses don't all may respond decently and sometimes even very well to major autohemotherapy, MAH, or uh, ozone and saline, saline drip with ozone in it, those kinds of things. It's not going to get rid of the virus. Even hyperbaric high dose ozone, nicknamed 10 pass, and for that matter, um, the EBU, um, also called ozone blood dialysis or recirculatory hemoperfusion, all will benefit you if you have a virus, but it doesn't seem to really get rid of it. More is needed. We don't know why. We don't know why, because the science hasn't been actually uh, tested yet to figure the answer out. But a direct IV method, where we shoot the gas, ozone and oxygen gas, directly into your vein, has been proven universally beneficial to eliminate all these viruses. And you can listen to the shows on these different viruses that I've already done if you want more detail about that. One of the beautiful things about intravenous ozone therapy in the direct IV way, where we push the gas directly into your veins, and we've done that over 368,000 times in the last 29 of my 34 years doing ozone, has proven not only its benefits, but its safety when it is performed by a licensed, trained healthcare professional. Licensed, trained healthcare professional. The licensing just shows that they're maintaining their continuing medical education, that they're not charlatans. They really have a medical license, degree, and experience. And trained is very important, because people have tried to pick these things up through YouTube, and they don't realize that they can wind up hurting you. These are very serious therapies, even though they seem so simple and so safe. When done correctly, they are. When done incorrectly, your life can be at stake. And you don't want to hurt yourself or somebody else, because it looks so easy on YouTube. It looks so easy on the internet. Okay. Somebody told you about it. It's hard to believe, but that's the way DIV, for example, has been seamed and looked into, and yet it takes me three days, 21 plus hours to train doctors in it, to give them a head start on how to do it. It's a lot of training for something that takes 5 minutes to learn. Um, So that's what I mean by licensed and trained. Don't just let anybody do this to you. Okay. And yet, there is no average, typical, or usual number of treatments to fix this problem. I wish I could say there were. Generally speaking, if you've done 24 to 36 of these treatments using the Robbins method, um, 3 or 4 treatments a week, the minimum, you'll see results. You'll start to notice your energy coming back, all the other symptoms you may have, or some of them start to diminish, or some may even go away. Um, that doesn't mean you're done, but it does mean that that it's working. Um, Very, very important to be doing the right method, the direct IV method. for these problems. Now, if you're dealing with Lyme disease, almost any IV method of intravenous ozone is going to benefit you. It is the direct IV method, which can get 10 out of 10 because it only requires little itty bitty veins. It is the 10 pass method that we use, the hyperbaric high dose ozone method, with or without ultraviolet blood irradiation. We use hemolumens, state of the art for that. Or EBU, extracorporeal blood ozonation and oxygenation. Blood dialysis, where all the blood in your body comes out, goes through a filter system, gets ozonated, and then put back in. All of these methods will work on Lyme disease exceptionally well. The other methods of ozone will improve it, but not get rid of it. My patients come to me to get rid of their problems, not to get better. I'm not here to make you or turn you into an annuity. I'm here to get you well, permanently, completely, once and for all, be done with you. So keep that in mind. And if you need to, you call my office in Manhattan at 212-581-0101. That's 212-581-0101. And they'll be happy to put you in touch with me, and we can talk about how to get you well, or maybe I know of a doctor in your neck of the woods that I've trained that I can send you to. Okay, let's go to our last commercial break. When we come back, we're going to finish up on what works in getting rid of this problem. Everybody stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right, good segment. We are clear. Back into.
So everybody, let's go into home care ozone. So basically speaking, you want to do several things. One, rectal insufflation, an ozone enema. You could do this twice a day. You could do up to 750 or 1,000 cc's of gas at least a 40 concentration twice a day. Listen to the shows that we've done on home care ozone therapy for more details about that. As well as you can make ozonated water to drink, which will help with stomach issues. Small amounts may get absorbed into your body that way. Now, you contact PromoLife at 888-742-3404. 888-742-3404. And you tell them you want to get set up for home care ozone therapy. You heard about it on the Dr. Robbins show. And what you want to do is and what makes their product so amazing, in my opinion, is they have it set up so you could use their machines literally anywhere around the world. The way their machines plug in, they don't care. It doesn't require that you have 110 or 220 or 230 voltage, because the little square box, you've seen them in different appliances, when it plugs in, knocks it down to whatever 9 volts, 12 volts, whatever the small voltage is that's required for the machine to work. They're relatively very affordable, particularly when you're sick this long. You need to do something. So you can get hold of this and get set up for a relatively small amount of money, and you could be doing home care ozone therapy. If you can't get IV ozone therapy nearby, or even available at all wherever you are, because it is offered around the world, even though not all the methods are used around the world. And if you're not using the direct IV method in the way I train doctors in, you won't necessarily get the same results that I've been talking about. Okay, it's all not created equal. Say I drive an automobile. What kind do you drive? All automobiles are not the same. Does it require a stick shift, or does it have an automatic transmission? What size engine does it have? What kind of gasoline or diesel does it run on? Or is it electric, for that matter? So they're all not created the same. So you're going to get different results and different benefits from the different methods. Okay. So home care ozone therapy is very, very valuable and important with this. Now let's go into the nutrients. Vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, all very important to take on a daily basis. Anything that boosts your immune system. Vitamin C needs to be taken 5 or 6 times a day. Listen to the shows that I've done on vitamin C. 5 or 6 times a day, and don't buy the cheap junk. Get the stuff that's more valuable because it's highly absorbable, bioabsorbable, um, available. That means once it gets into your bloodstream, your cells can uptake it, and bioutilizable. Remember, oxygen and nutrients make ATP molecules, make energy. All right. That's why it's so important to be doing oxygen therapies. You can do inhalation of oxygen at home. All right. If you're set up for IV home care. All right. As you know, ozone therapy home care, you could be doing, you may need an extra tank or two of, to get oxygen, but you could be inhaling oxygen at home, which could be beneficial to some people with this problem all on its own. Okay. Um, any of the supplements that boost the immune system. So yes, you need some B vitamins, that's for sure. Okay. Um, zinc might be very beneficial here. Okay. These are the things that you could be taking on a daily basis to prevent and to treat if you do have these problems. Um, any herbal supplement that can boost the immune system, um, and fight and kill off things like oil of wild oregano, garlic extracts, or just raw garlic. Throw that into your diet. That would be very beneficial. Green juices, um, with wheatgrass in it, for example, or any sprouts. All organic sprouts are really healthy, um, to throw into the mix with this. Um, let's see what else. Licorice root tea could be very beneficial if you have one of the viruses, at helping to knock down the virus. Um, so licorice root is very valuable there. Um, you get that in Chinese herb shops just about anywhere, maybe even online today. These are the supplements that you could be taking, and and one of the most important ones is Doctor's Biome. I explained earlier on at the beginning of the show how we weaken our immune system, how we grow extra yeast and cause a problem to the T cell system by using antibiotics even once in our lifetime. Well, Doctor's Biome is so important because if you don't, as I said earlier, if you don't have a healthy gut, you can't have a healthy immune system. So you have to strengthen your gut by taking the Doctor's Biome probiotic beverage every single day. It's delicious because it's in a 100% organic mint, kale, lettuce, cucumber, celery, apple, lemon juice. And when you have this kind of a problem, you either contact them and get the medical food version of it, which is very powerful, or buy double and take 2 Doctor's Biome gut health supplements each day. One in the morning, one in the evening, at least a half hour before you eat breakfast or dinner, if you're going to eat breakfast or dinner. Diminished appetite is very common with this, and this is going to help you regain your appetite again, because without food, you can't make energy. So you need to be eating healthy food. And this is one of the ways to help your body allow you to process. By repairing the gut, you can absorb the nutrients from the food when they're digested into your blood. If you have an unhealthy gut, and you know this because you have any of the digestive symptoms, bloating, flatulence, constipation, diarrhea, you're supposed to have at least one bowel movement every day without exception. Okay. Otherwise, you're keeping toxins in you, which can further weaken you and lead to problems like this. So you have to have that healthy immune system. And it's important to be taking Doctor's Biome for that reason. Um, for many years, I've been looking to find a probiotic that would really work. And I found one in a liquid form, grown on vegetables. It smelled horrible, absolutely horrible. When people open up the bottle, you didn't want to be in the same country, let alone the same universe with it. Even my mom, may she rest in peace, would say to me, I cannot take this stuff. It's just horrible. I'd rather be sick than take it. Yet it was a very good product. It had 10 different bacterias in it, and grown on organic vegetables. So when it was harvested, it was what we thought we wanted, and we had some great results until we found out that the manufacturer never tested it for safety in a laboratory. And wow, if anybody had gotten botulism or salmonella or died from any of the contaminants, yeast or mold that can get into something like that, um, I can't tell you the horror that we all would have gone through. So it led me into finding a company that was making a very good product, and we turned it into something amazingly great with the help of a food scientist, Dr. Reza Kamari, who has a PhD from MIT. And along with him and our research, we were able to create Doctor's Biome Gut Health and Doctor's Biome Women's Health. So call 888-742-3404 to Promo Life. Remember to tell them you heard about it here on the show, and they'll help you get set up for home care. Go to Doctor's Biome, DoctorsBiome.com. And remember on checkout to put the code radio20 in to get 20% off your order. Call my office in Manhattan at 212-581-0101. 212-581-0101. This way you'll be able to get in touch with me. We'll talk about whether we can help you or not, based on what your story is. Hopefully you haven't waited until it's too late. People do that, thinking, well, I'll try everything else first. If it doesn't work, then I'll try this. Well, they may have put themselves into a situation where it's too late to help them. So be careful about that. The sooner the better. You haven't been suffering from this for a day or two. It's been a while. So you want to address it very, very promptly. Okay. If you have questions, you can email me at ozonedoctor. That's OZONEDOCTOR at yahoo.com. Ozonedoctor at YAHOO, yahoo.com. And you can put in requests for certain shows. You may have somebody you'd like to see me have as a guest. If they're open to it, I'm happy to have them on as a guest. Certainly, if I can recommend doctors in your neck of the woods, I'll be very happy to. I just had a woman who contacted us wanting me to treat her cat who has cancer. I'm sorry, I only treat human beings. We don't treat animals. But unfortunately, there are some vets around the country that have been trained in ozone therapy and natural therapies to treat animals. Some of them have died. Some of them lost their license because the veterinary boards don't like them doing natural things, but we can try to put you on to some of these people to help. Like Dr. Margot Roman, Roman, up in Massachusetts. I don't think he's in practice anymore, but his clinic may still be open. Dr. Marty Goldstein in South Salem, New York. All right. And there are many more that use ozone to treat animals and people. Don't give up hope with chronic fatigue syndrome. That's the message that I want to leave you with. And when you do come to see us or somebody about it, the key word is patience. Particularly if I've sent you to one of the doctors that I've trained, I know you're in good hands. I'll be training two doctors, a doctor next week, and then another one or two doctors the week after. I just trained two doctors from Toronto. There are doctors literally all over that do some form of ozone therapy or not. I'm certain they'll help you to some degree. And the ones that we've trained, I know will help you to a great degree. All right, everybody. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't leave anything out on you on this. The key is patience, because after you've been sick for so long, it's hard to have patience in getting well, and it's easy to give up quickly. And if you have a Herxheimer reaction, and that's what I knew I left out, when you kill off junk in the body and you can't get rid of the waste fast enough, you can have that Herxheimer reaction. It feels like a mild case of the flu, or your fatigue worsens in a mild to moderate case of it. And when it wears off, once you cleaned out the waste, you get a slow or rapid return to energy. In a severe herx, which I've had this past few weeks, feels like getting flu, fever, chills, the works. In any case, we can overcome this and prevent it. And that's why we do the therapies with the Robbins method. Everybody, I hope I've given you enough information to help you. Stay healthy, stay well, and be back again next week here on Functional Medicine with Dr. Robbins. Bye now.